I'm Rachel Poli with Ari Meghlen, and we're your hosts for the Merry Writer podcast. We're on episode 46, and we don't have a question for this week. We're actually doing another tag. So before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening so you never miss a show. And if you enjoyed this episode, please give it a like. So we had a lot of fun with our Would You Rather game and the Christmas tag, episodes 30 and 39 respectively. So go check those out if you haven't already. That we decided to do a Valentine's Day tag since the holiday is just a few days away. So basically, we're going to do what we did with the previous episodes, and we're just going to go back and forth asking each other questions and answering them, and we'll just see how it goes. So, Ari, what's your favorite book that features a romantic plot or subplot?
I do hate these kind of questions because it's technically asking me what my favorite book is, because almost all the books I read will have some thread of romance in them. I don't read romance books, but I do like books that have a little romance thrown in. So, and I hate saying my favorite book, because what reader has a favorite book? I don't think I've ever met anyone who's admitted that, like one favorite. But since I have to come up with something, I'm probably going to go with A Court of Mist and Fury, which is book 2 in the A Court of Thorn and Roses series by Sarah J. Maas. I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. I think that book, the second book, was definitely my favorite, and I think the romantic subplot in that was a lot stronger and kind of really pulled you in. So yeah, that's my answer. I'm going to go with book 2 of the Court of Thorn and Roses series.
You know, that's a series that's always been on my list, but I actually have not read it yet.
Oh my goodness, you've got to read it.
Yeah, seriously. So I can't really comment on that one, but I'll take your word for it. I'll have to read it, and then we can revisit this question at another time and see if my answer changes. But for now, my answer is going to be, it's a series. I'm not pinpointing a specific book here, but the Witch City Mystery series by Carol J. Perry. It's a paranormal cozy mystery series. And usually if you've ever read cozy mystery books, then they all have one thing in common. There's the amateur detective, and then there's a regular detective or police officer or somebody. And somehow the two develop feelings for each other, and they may or may not get together. And it's almost kind of like a cliche within the cozy mysteries, but I feel like Carol J. Perry does it best with her series. And for me, I'm not one for romance to begin with, so I can tolerate that relationship.
I do love the fact that two people who aren't big into the romance scene are doing a romantic tag. That's just great.
Your idea, and somehow ended up being my episode.
Okay, with that, let's go to our next question, which is, what's your best Valentine's Day memory?
So I actually have 2 for this, but I'm going to save one of them for a future question. So for right now, I'll say that one of my best Valentine's Day memories was when I was in 5th grade, and I used to play with a kid that lives on my street, and we were in the same class, but he had a huge crush on me, and a lot of people thought we were dating, even though we were 10. It was like this whole thing. But there was one day for Valentine's Day, he always wanted to be an engineer or an inventor or something, so he always came up with these elaborate things, and he would just take recycled items and just build these monstrosities. It was great. So he gave me like a tin, and it was like a flat tin. I don't even know what it was used for, but he gave me a tin, and he painted it red and pink, and he drew hearts all over it, and it had my name on it. And then when you opened it, he put a spring inside with a paper heart, so that when you opened it, it was like a pop-up book.
Oh.
And then he gave me mini erasers.
I like that. That sounds like a really cool kid.
Yeah.
That's way better than the usual crap people get on Valentine's Day.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? It's a handmade gift. Like, he clearly put a lot of time and effort into it, so that sticks out in my mind.
Oh, that is so lovely.
Yeah. He's gay now, but
Oh. So it didn't become a happily ever after with you two?
no.
Oh.
But that's fine. We still keep in touch every once in a while.
Nice. Oh, that's lovely. I, on the other hand, don't have any Valentine's Day memories because, as I said, I'm not a massive I'm not a massive romantic sort of person, and despite being with my partner as of this episode, almost 17 years. We're coming up on 17 years in February. We don't do Valentine's Day. We're very kind of anti Valentine's Day. We've never liked the idea that you sort of like wait for that one special day when everything costs twice as much to show you care for someone. We're much more randomly spontaneous about like getting presents or treating each other, or just, you know, kind of like, you know, oh, we love you, I love you, it's great kind of thing. We do it all the time. We don't need a kind of a day. So yeah, I actually have zero memories. I've never bothered with the whole Valentine's Day thing. I think years and years and years ago, since how old I am, when I was in high school, I may have got given a card, but again, I was a very anti-romantic person very much back then, and I probably would have been like scowling at the person and been like, creepy, and yeah, that's about it. So there wouldn't have been any really positive memories because I don't do that. So
You crack me up. You really do. But I have to say, I agree with you. I'm not a hugely into Valentine's Day either, because even if you are in a relationship with someone, you don't need a specific day to say I love you to them. Like, you could just cherish every single day. It's like February 14th is just another day on the calendar.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair to Valentine's Day, I am not just like anti-Valentine's Day. I'm not a big fan of birthdays either. I don't see this need for arbitrarily counting your age and then celebrating that you reached it. It just doesn't do it for me. So I'm not a big birthday fan, which is why you'll probably find that there's no birthday details about me on my social media, and I don't usually mention it because I don't. It's just another day. So which I can tell you, my parents are not happy that I think like that. Because they're always like, what do you want for your birthday? I'm like, I don't care. I don't really do it. You don't need to get me anything. And they're like, don't be silly. So
No, you know what? Birthdays are huge in my family. Like, my mother does not let a birthday go by unmissed.
Yeah.
No, that didn't make sense. My mother does not let a birthday go by missed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna revert away from birthdays and go back to Valentine's Day. I love how we get so off topic.
Oh yeah.
Who is your, this isn't really Valentine's Day related, I guess, but who is your favorite book hero or heroine?
I think obviously we're going to have to sort of maybe aim it towards a book that has some form of romance in for it to be in this time. Oh gosh, I'm probably going to go with Charlie Davidson from the Charlie Davidson series. The first book is First Grave on the Right, I think so, and it's really good because all the books are like, you know, first grave on the right, second grave on the left, third grave right, you know, straight ahead. And it's a brilliant preternatural series, and you know, she's a private investigator and everything, and there's a strong romance subplot in with that, but her character is hilarious. It's one of the few books that I laugh out loud when I read it. I actually used to have to stop and then go back and reread it a few times because I've laughed so hard that I've lost my place. And I think her character has this really fun and yet like vulnerable side. It's like the romance isn't too cheesy. It's very, I want to say believable, which is funny when you realize that she's actually the Grim Reaper and who her romance partner is. It's quite amusing for me to say it's so, you know, believable, but it is. It's done very realistic in my eyes, in the sense of like, if you are really close to someone, if you have a really strong relationship, it is funny. You have funny moments, and there are silly, quirky parts. It's not all serious and like, you know, smoldering in this kind of intensity. Don't get me wrong, the smoldering intensity. We love our smoldering intensity, but it's funny as well, and that's why I love her character in that book. And that's by Dorinda Jones. Hoping I'm not butchering her name either, because I am awful at using people's names.
I'll have to look that up, because that sounds really intriguing.
I think it just finished the series. She finished the series a couple of years ago of that. And honestly, it's my favorite series. It's one of my favorite series, and it's so funny, and it's so different, and the plot lines and the storylines, but yeah, and all the characters are so awesome. There's not one character where I'm like, ugh, I hate that character. They're all just brilliant. So yeah, definitely read it. We're just adding to our TBR list. You realize that, don't you?
I know. Well, I mean, I'm going to answer this question with, I know you just said you're going to try to keep it, you know, strictly with like the romance and stuff like that, but I'm not, because I can't think of anything. So I'm going to say Firestar. And a lot of people probably are tilting their heads right now. Firestar is a cat, and he is the protagonist of the Warriors series by Erin Hunter. It's a middle grade book series. And I grew up with Firestar. The first book came out when I was 11, and the series is still going on. So easily my all-time favorite book, because that's what got me into reading in the first place.
Oh, yeah. I like that. I think there's a special place in your heart for the books that pulled you into reading.
Yes.
And that's I can understand that.
Yeah.
What story has the best, most memorable romantic moment for you?
I don't know. I got nothing.
We pick the worst tag ideas.
I feel like with books, with movies, with TV shows, romantic moments are so forced nowadays that I legitimately cannot think of anything like memorable that happened organically, and that like when it did happen you were like so relieved that, you know, the characters finally got together or something, or it was so sweet. But I'm like, I can't think of anything. I feel like these days, like the audience like ship certain characters together, and then the author or the writers of the movie or whatever, they'll throw them together just for that sake, and it's, I don't know. I got nothing.
I actually agree with that. I think there's a lot more kind of like crowbarring stuff in, especially if they do it before it's been developed. And you literally sat there going, wait, what? But there was chemistry there, was there? Because I
came out of
didn't
nowhere.
feel that. Yeah, just like, wow, we had two attractive people at the beginning and we've decided to merge them together. It's like, no thanks.
I bet you when we finish recording, I'll come up with an answer for that. But for now,
that'll be in the Patreon extra bonus one. We'll have all the questions. We'll have thought about it a bit harder, and then we'll just redo all the questions with better answers.
We'll talk about how, you know, neither one of us are a huge fan of romance, so we'll question our life's decisions here.
I have to admit that there's one of the memorable moments, and it's a bit of a mental memorable moment, because it's memorable, but I can't remember everything, including a lot of the characters' names. But give me a minute. In the series, The Shadow of the Act by Adrian Tchaikovsky, which I talked about a couple of episodes ago, maybe even last episode, I can't remember, where the characters had like insectoid connections.
Oh yes.
Yeah. I can't remember which book in the series, because as I said, there's like a load of them. There was a romantic moment where one of the characters, who'd been kind of like a bit of a baddie at the beginning, ended up sort of saving like one of the good characters, and there was obviously a development of relationship that was building that you kind of saw it coming, but it was interesting because you kind of saw his shock that he was feeling things like that for technically a good character after all the stuff that had happened. And I remember they did have a kiss, and I remember it being sort of like, oh, that's so cool, because it didn't come out of left field and like smack you in the face. You could kind of feel it coming, but it was his shock of the realization that he was feeling that, which was brilliant, and it always stuck with me. Again, I can't remember his name. I think it was like Thaldrick, and I can't remember her name. Because it's been years since I read this series, and it's reminding me I need to go back and read them because they were incredible books. But I do remember that because I have to admit I am a big enemies to friends kind of. I do like that if it's done well, not just you start off hating each other and then boom, suddenly you're in love. I hate that. Don't do that. That is crap. It has to have reasons. There has to be sparks of humanity, and there has to be moments of saving and like show a bit of emotion. But yeah, I do remember that, and I'm going to go with that because that did stick with me. As I said, it's been years and it's still stuck with me that happened. That's
cool. That's another series that I have to look up. I'm probably going to email you after this for you to send me the names and stuff. But I you know what, I like that answer because in our notes when we wrote, romantic moment, we were thinking of like a kiss or a proposal or something, but I like that. It's just like the moment where somebody is falling in love with somebody else.
Yeah.
That's pure right there. I like it.
That's it. That is the best word, because as I said, I think it did culminate in a kiss, but that wasn't the part that stuck with me. It was this moment where he risked everything and saved her, kind of like dragged her away from this like dangerous area. And I think it was kind of annoyed and like, oh God, you've got yourself into this stupid position. But he didn't flinch from helping her, and it was just this kind of cute way that they were starting to kind of. It was just it's just awesome. Seriously, I can't describe it well enough. So everybody has to read the book, and because it's in the middle of the series, you have to start at the beginning and read all the way through because you have to.
Spoilers.
I've been trying to be really careful not to say too much, but yeah, it's like spoilers. Yeah, but it's great.
Oh boy. All right. Well, next question. What is your all-time favorite romantic movie?
I think this is an easy one because it's also one of my normal favorite movies. It's got to be Princess Bride. Seriously. And it is a romantic movie, but to be honest, it's also an action movie and a pirate movie and, just kind of a random movie. But yeah, I think it definitely falls under the genre of romantic.
I've never watched that movie either, so...
Oh,
I'll take your word on that one too.
Oh, seriously, Rachel, we're gonna have to have words after this episode because I'm starting to worry about you.
Did you watch White Christmas yet?
No. To be fair, I don't think it was on Netflix. So
did they take it off of Netflix?
I think so. I couldn't find it. I will check again. I can't remember if Princess Bride is on Netflix or Amazon Prime or something, but it's definitely on one of the streaming things. So you need to watch that. And I will try and get White Christmas sorted.
I mean, that's fine. I still have to watch Arthur Christmas. I can't even throw that in your face right now.
I think that's on Netflix.
Yes, I think I saw it. I'm actually going to say my all-time favorite romantic movie. I guess it's more of a romantic comedy because I rather funny stuff than romance stuff. And I wouldn't say this is my all-time favorite, but it's sticking out in my mind right now because I just watched it the other day. The Princess Diaries 2. Not the first one, the second one. The Princess Diaries.
Is that with Anne Hathaway?
Yes.
And the second one has Chris Pine.
Yes.
Yes, I have seen that. Yeah, I think the second one were better.
Second one was way better than the first movie, but I mean, Chris Pine. Enough said.
Seriously, what is going on with Hollywood? Why are there so many Chris's? I thought there was the whole people changed their name when they became actors, picked a better one. It just feels like everyone's obsessed with the name Chris. We're not having to go with people called Chris. I'm just saying, there's a lot of Chris's. So it's a bit weird.
There are. I know a ton in real life too. It's weird.
Yeah. just, throw in something different. Get a Kenneth.
Yeah, get a Kenneth.
Gerald. I'm joking. No, but let's mix it up a bit more Roderick. Let's try something different.
You were just pulling the most random names right now.
Yeah, that's what we're naming all my characters next. Roderick.
I'm gonna name all of mine Chris. just to bother you.
I don't even think I have. Yes, I do. I'm like, have I even got a Chris in one of my novels? And it's like, actually, yeah. In Darkheart, one of my vampires is called Chris, spelt Kris to make it a bit cooler.
Well, that's my sister's name, so.
But yeah, so I was like, yeah, I don't even think I've named any of my characters Chris. It's like, yes, I have. Yep.
Oh wow.
So can't even get away with it.
See, I don't have any characters named Chris because I know too many Chris's in real life.
Yeah. I think you find that it's like, I find it hard to name characters names of people I know. Now I still have, but they're usually more minor characters. So I try not to meet too many people, because then you end up with like, oh, I can't use that name because that person's a bit of a dick. I just associate that. Okay, next question, which is, if you can go anywhere for a romantic getaway, and it doesn't have to be a real place, where would you go?
The Shire.
Oh.
From The Hobbit. I think that's self-explanatory. It's quiet, it's pretty, it's away from people. Yeah.
I find it funny because I believe, I'm not going to say for certain, but I believe that Mr. Tolkien was actually in the north of England when he came up with the Shires, because a lot of the areas in the north of England are Shires. Like where I come from is a Shire. You've got all these like, I'm going to use other ones like Yorkshire. Oh. It's Yorkshire, but obviously it's a Shire. Yorkshire, Lancashire, Nottinghamshire. There's all these Shires, and there is a lot of green up there, and like hilly places and moors and everything. And I believe he got inspired by that. And since I've lived in those places, and they're not as nice as they seem, I am not going to say that. But yes, I know what you mean, especially from the movie, because that's where I get my imagery from. The Shire in the movie has this lovely kind of like, oh yeah. Yeah, I can totally get that.
So I'll say the fictional Shire then.
Yes, definitely. The Shires in the north of England are not as good as they seem. I'm going to be really boring. I don't think I'm going to choose a fiction place, mainly because the fiction places I like wouldn't be good for a romantic getaway.
That's fair.
So I think I would pick a sort of a log cabin in the middle of the woods. Sounds like a horror movie, doesn't it? Near a lake, maybe near some mountains, kind of peaceful, quiet, barbed wire fence to keep people out, that sort of thing. Just that's what I like, peace and quiet and middle of nature and bright stars in the night because there's no light pollution. That would be perfect.
Yeah.
But oh my gosh, it does sound like it would come out of a horror movie, Oh, and they were alone in the cabin when they heard the noise scratching on the door.
I mean, I didn't think about a horror movie until you mentioned it. But I am going to agree with you on that one. Being in a log cabin by the lake and just being out with nature, that would be really nice.
Yeah.
Again, away from people. It's quiet, peaceful.
There's a theme. We're not people. We're not people.
No, we're not.
But no, yeah, you got your log fire. You got a log cabin with a fire, a wood burning stove or an open fire. You're gonna sit out on the deck, staring at the stars, listening to the screech of owls and things like that.
That'd be so nice. Can't do that now. Although I guess that would be technically social distancing, so probably could.
That's it. Perfect.
Okay, we're nearing our last couple of questions. So Ari, who do you want to be your Valentine? Now that you've mentioned that you really don't celebrate Valentine's Day.
I'm going to be really, really dull and say my partner, because not just because I love him to pieces, but because he is the only person who can put up with all my shit really well, and has stuck around despite all the neuroses and anxiety I have. So kudos to him. And he's also the only person I can actually spend all my time with. Most people I get about 2 hours in, and then I'm like, get out! You spent way too much time in my house, sitting on my furniture and, you know, drinking my tea. Get out. Love you, but get out. So he's the only person I don't. You're laughing, but I actually do that. I have actually just, you know, been sat with friends, and then after a certain length of time, it's been a bit too stressful, and I've just got up and gone, okay, that's it now. We're here. Gotta go. And just kind of herded them out. Thankfully, most of my friends are good, and they know that that's fine, and they take it really well. But I haven't done that with him, and as I said, coming up on 17 years, that's pretty good. I haven't, you know, shunted him out the door yet. So.
I mean, I was laughing because I do the same thing. Like, after a while, you're like, okay, bye. Like, I want to get back in my pajamas and just like chill for a little bit.
Yeah, I've got to decompress from this, you know, hanging around with you people. Oh, yeah.
That's sweet though. I like that. I wish I had answered it first so that we could end on that high note, because that's really sweet of you. Me, I'm not in a relationship or anything like that, so I haven't been able to trick anyone to like me in that way. So I'm gonna say the same answer I said when we mentioned the mistletoe in our Christmas tag, and I'm gonna go with Spider-Man or Iron Man.
Just the Marvel cast. Right?
The Marvel characters.
Oh.
That's where I am right now.
I think the only issue with that is it sets a very high standard for the next romantic relationship. It's like, if they're not up to that like Iron Man level or Thor or wow, they've all just gone Captain America level, then you're just like, whoa, you know. It's like,
I know.
But I totally understand.
Oh yeah.
There would probably be more. You would probably have better Valentine's dates, because they'd be like, "Hey, look, you can fly or swing around."
Yeah.
You know,
We could go on adventures.
does mean having to change out of the pajamas though.
Yeah. But we could be in a log cabin in the middle of the woods like that. I can't snap, but the thing, it was there. I tried.
We'll add it with sound effects instead.
Yeah.
That is a good point, because the idea of driving to some log cabin, that's so dull.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll stick with the open fire I've got in my pajamas, not traveling anywhere. Okay, last question, and it's kind of a typical one for the whole Valentine's thing is, do you prefer the chocolates or the flowers as a Valentine's gift?
I mean, to be brutally honest, I would say neither, because I don't like chocolate and I don't do well taking care of flowers. I try my best and I'm awful at it. But if I did have to choose one, I would choose flowers, because then the chocolate would just go to waste, because I don't really like chocolate. So
I have no words for you when you
I
say
know.
crap like that. See, and you have the audacity to try and get me to try coffee. It's like, how can I trust anything coming out of your mouth when you don't like chocolate? What is
Okay,
this?
to
What
be
is
fair,
this?
I do like certain chocolates. They're like, I'll eat, you know, Reese's and Kit Kats and things like that, but I can only have one and then I'm done. Like, I'm not a huge, like, give me a bag of chips. I'll eat that entire thing in one sitting. But give me a candy bar, like a Hershey's bar, I'll eat like one, maybe 2 squares, and then I need to save the rest for later.
So you're very much a savory person over a
Yeah.
sweet person. I get that. I wish I could do that, because I could eat like, I mean, we don't think we have Hershey bars up here, but I could eat like a Mars bar or a Twix. I could eat a whole pack of them and then feel sick and then cry about why I did it, and then probably eat more to make myself feel better. Not good at all. I'm probably going to lean more towards the chocolate, mainly because I hate cut flowers. I don't like the idea of someone saying, hey, I killed these for you here, or I bought some from a shop that somebody else killed. I like living plants and things. I much prefer potted plants or things like that. And actually, yeah, this isn't a Valentine's thing, but it is a memory. I remember, I may have mentioned this before, but I'm saying it again. A couple of years ago, my daffodils came out in the garden, and then about 2 days later, a day later, we had a really bad windstorm, and most of them snapped, and I was gutted because I love it when the flowers come up. And that day, my partner, when I was like, oh my god, all my daffodils are dead, he went and he got me some flowers to deliver that were delivered, and they were in a little, it was a giant coffee cup, and it was miniature daffodils, which probably have a name and I can't think what that is, but like the little tiny ones, but they were bulbs. He didn't get me flowers, he got me, well, they were flowers, but they were potted flowers. And even now we've moved from England to Northern Ireland, I still have them. I brought them with me, and they're in a pot, and they're actually coming up now, which is a bit too early for them, but they are still coming up. And that always made me realize how awesome he was, because he never tried to get me cut flowers because he knows I don't like dead flowers, because that's what they are. They're living, but they're technically dying because someone snipped them and took away their roots. I would rather someone bring me a pot plant and said, here, and then it just grows and grows, and it just, that's way nicer. So definitely have to go with chocolates, because cut flowers make me cry.
You guys are so cute.
I know, it's kind of like a bit gross, really. We're so, don't worry. When we're out in public, we're horrible to each other. We're always insulting each other because we don't want people to realize how cute we are. So
hey, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Oh yeah.
But actually, you reminded me, that was my other Valentine's Day memory. When I was in a relationship, a few years ago, my first Valentine's Day with my boyfriend, he gave me a single rose to, symbolize that it's our first Valentine's Day together, which is really sweet, but I'm dumb, and it took me a while to put 2 and 2 together. And then he also got me a Teddy Ursa doll, which is a teddy bear Pokemon.
All right.
So for me, like, that's what I like, chocolate flowers, like get me a stuffed animal, do something Pokemon, and
yeah, something connected rather than just, I went to the petrol station and got you a cheap, pack of flowers, cheap bunch of flowers and whatever. It's like, it's a bit more thought. So yeah, he got you something like a Pokemon thing, which was more connected to your likes. That is so much better than, this is another reason why we don't like the Valentines, because it puts this weird arbitrary pressure on people. Usually guys, let's be honest, where they then feel that they have to go out and get this sort of something. And you do find them rushing around the supermarket, looking at the half-dead flowers that are left at extortionate prices. And you're thinking, there's no thought in that. You've just grabbed something. It's like, whereas if you didn't think about just Valentine's Day, if you just thought randomly, I'm going to treat my partner, you put a bit more thought into it. Or you see something and go, I'm going to buy him that. I think they'll like it. That's why we're not a big Valentine's Day fan, which is why we're doing a Valentine's Day tag, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. we're not running out of ideas, guys. Don't worry. We're actually not. We have too many ideas, I think.
Oh. We're trying to stretch them out, though. We're trying to make it a bit more interesting.
Right, exactly. Okay, well, on that note, we hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and do let us know your answers to any of these questions in the comments or on Twitter using the hashtag #TheMerryWriterPodcast. If you want to get some extra content, head on over to our Patreon page at patreon.com/TheMerryWriterPodcast. You can support our show for as little as $1 a month, and you can get extra bonus content. Tune in next week for another episode of the Merry Writer Podcast, where we ask all the right questions. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.
This podcast is brought to you by Writing Distractions. We're stalling on our work in progresses. The music titled Inspired is by Kevin MacLeod, licensed under Creative Commons 4.0.